DVB Digital Fast.
Hello and welcome to the DVB Newsroom. I'm Nora. 5 years after a military coup ousted Myanmar's elected National League for Democracy government, a new consensus has emerged. The military held its own elections to officially replace the NLD administration. The Union Solidarity and Development Party, which lost the two previous elections to the NLD, won 72% of all seats. The NLD was officially disbanded in 2023 by the Union Election Commission. It completed the military elections without any real opposition parties on the ballot on January 25th. Joining me today is Htin Kyaw Aye, an independent election analyst from Myanmar. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
The UEC has released its final results from the military's elections on February 4th. Was it what you expected?
So we have been seeing the results since the release of the results since the end of the first phase of the elections, and then we have been following the result. And the result we have seen is, as we predicted, the military-backed USDP party is outperforming all the other parties and winning a lot of seats. And now, by the end of the third phase of this election, so it's confirmed that USDP also won the most seats in the upper house as well. So a lot of people are not familiar with the proportional representation system that is introduced in this election. And then the people are expecting that the ethnic parties, minority parties will gain a considerable amount of seats in this parliament using this PR system. But we can see that USDP is also performing well in this upper house as well. So we can say that USDP won a landslide, outperformed in this election.
Can you tell us more about the PR system?
The PR system, it's a kind of the junta leader set since when they announced this election, they will use mixed member proportionate system. Mixed member proportionate system is a combination of the FPDB, first past the post system, and the proportional representation system. But the problem with the mixed member proportionate system that is used in this election for the upper house is that it's not actually the mixed member proportionate system. In the mixed member proportionate system, you have to ensure the overall proportionality of the popular vote won by the political parties, and also the amount of seats they acquire for the upper house. But we have seen that even though USDP won less popular vote, they still won more seats in the parliament, because there is no mechanism to ensure the overall proportionality. And also they divided the upper house PR constituency into a smaller electoral blocks. So that means that the smaller political party, minority parties, and ethnic parties are even limited more to win the seats in the parliament. Another mechanism to limit the chance for the minority party to win the seats in the parliament is that they use the single ballot system. So they use the result of the FPDB vote to account for the PR results. So that means that the minority parties are even more limited to win the seats in the parliament. So that's why we have been seeing that USDP won a lot of seats, and then only a few numbers of seats are shared to the ethnic and minority parties.
Can you tell me more about the USDP? How and when was it established?
Looking back to the history of USDP was not initially formed as a political party. It was formed as a association for the social developments, things like that, back in the days of the previous military juntas of Deng Shui. So USDP was transformed into the political party only in 2010, just a few months before the holding the general elections in 2010. So at that time, the USDA transferred all the properties into the USDP. So in the time of USDA, Union Solidarity and Development Association, they have a lot of state infrastructures transferred to that association. So the USDP, as a political party, inherited a lot of the properties, a lot of lands from the USDA that are usually mostly the state-owned properties. So that's why we have been seeing back in the day of post 2010 elections, there are a lot of disputes, land disputes regarding the office where the USDP office are situated in a lot of townships. So that's the route USDP was formed, and throughout the history of this election in 2010, 2015, and 2020 elections, and now 2025-26 election, so they have been clearly linked to the military. So they don't even hide the fact that the USDP is formally linked to the military. You can see that military leadership sent the retired generals to the USDP to run for the elections. So we have seen and we have had rumors that there's some kind of discount among the USDP membership, because military always sent the retired general to run for this the parliament in this election, also in the previous election as well. So they are not just coming to the USDP and just retire from the military, come to the USDP and ran for the seat. They are also taking the key constituency, the constituency where the USDP candidates are very certain to win, I would say. So for example, constituency in Gokgojeon in Yangon region is the area where most of the military families voted. So this area, that kind of townships and key townships in Naypyidaw, where a lot of military bases and a lot of civil servants are there, these constituencies are, most of the election, these constituencies are held by the retired general sent by the military just before the election. So that's why we can say that USDP is clearly and formally linked to the military.
So it was always designed to be an extension of a military state?
Yeah, it was always designed to be the political wing of the military junta. So that's a key mechanism that the military created in back in the days of 2010. The military junta at the time, Deng Xue, clearly designed that the military and the military link political party, so they can work hand in hand to protect 2008 constitution. So that's, I would say, clearly designed to be another mechanism, instrument of the military.
Besides the landslide USDP victory in this election, what other parties won seats and what role will they play in the parliament?
The second largest party by the numbers of seats in this election is the National Unity Party. So I would say that party is also the party linked to the military in a way, because that's a party founded by General Ne Win, so former military dictator again. One interesting thing this time is the military, not just the military leadership, military junta, put their bets not just on the USDP, but also on the National Unity Party. So we have had news that the military junta also sent the candidates also to the National Unity Party. So National Unity Party has been the party that has been on the declining form. So they have been winning less and less seats and performing worse and worse in the preceding elections. And now this time, the National Unity Party has performed better than the previous elections. So that you can see that this time military junta didn't have 100% of trust even in the USDP. Military dictator Myanmar didn't have 100% of trust, not even in USDP. So they're trying to use National Unity Party, NUP, as a leverage. So I would say they benefited from that and then gaining the second largest number of seat. But compared to USDP, that seat is like barely a fraction of the seat won by the USDP. And also another party that win noticeable numbers of seats, around 10 are Pao National Organization, PNO, and More Unity Party, and SNDP, Asian Nationalities Development Democratic Party. So these three parties. So I don't think USDP and also the military dictators wouldn't think highly of the National Unity Party because they are the party used by the military dictator as a leverage against the USDP leadership. If they are proven too difficult to control, they will use NUP. That's kind of like the stick that they show to the USDP leadership of the current time. But for the other ethnic political parties, so normally, so it's not written in any rules or any law. Normally, the vice president, one of the vice presidents used to be the ethnic vice presidents in the previous election. It's not the written rule, but it's kind of like the precedent and tradition. So this time, I think one of these political parties, SNDP, MUP, or PNO, I think they would be thinking of having a vice president in this government.
NUP is like military-backed party. So realistically, will we ever see them vote against the USDP on a major issue?
I don't think they would be that strong to stand against USDP, either USDP or the military. So even though we are seeing the numbers of political parties elected to this parliament. So for example, People's Party, so they won 5 seats for the upper house. So they may be allowed to raise the questions, they may be allowed to raise the motions, to submit the motion in the parliament, but especially on the minor issues, but on the key agenda will be handled by the USDP appointed speakers of the parliament.
In a previous interview with DVB, you said that Senior General Min Aung Hlaing was pressuring citizens to vote for the USDP. Is this true? How did he do this?
So they did a lot of mechanisms. So that mechanism include they enacted a new law before this election, which is in short called Election Protection Law. So any citizen who write against the election, speak against the election, will be prosecuted. And there are also hundreds of cases that citizen, normal citizen, ordinary citizen, not even the activists, are prosecuted and even jailed for saying something against this election. So that's one thing. Another thing is that they have a lot of control over the candidates and political parties. So they are dissolving the political parties and they are barring the chairperson of the political party entering this election without any concrete reason. And also they even jail one candidate for using the term revolution and uprising, referring to the 2021 Spring Revolution. So they have been using that kind of fear, instilling the fear in the public, by using the law. And also they amended the existing laws such as the Citizen Privacy and Security and Safety Law. So they suspended key clauses of that law, practically removing the fundamental rights of the citizen. So anyone who is communicating anything on the social media or communicating anything even in the physical space, they can be they can be surveyed or they can be arrested without warrant or things like that. So they are kind of like using the legal instruments to instill the fear and also to persecute the voice of dissent. And also another thing is that they are also clearly putting their presence. For example, Myanmar visiting the polling station in Yangon and Mandalay throughout this election, and then meeting the people voting in this election. So actually, the political parties are required to stop their campaign one day before the election. But still, Myanmar is showing up at the polling station and then basically asking them to vote, and also to vote by Myanmar means to vote for USDP, not anyone else. So that's why I say Myanmar is using a lot of the mechanism to put the pressure and the fear among the members of the public.
Does Myanmar want to be a part of the next USDP-led administration, or has he made other arrangements?
I would say this government, not even as a USDP-led government. So Myanmar didn't even give USDP the grace of the victory. So he's portraying this victory not as a USDP, that or USDP, but or him. So I would not be surprised if Myanmar is the one leading the next government, so as a president. So now we have the Union Consultative Council law. So that's made just after after the announcement of the reset. The enactment of that law is significant not because of the content of the law, but because of the timing of the law as well. The law was enacted in less than a month after the new parliament. Why can't he wait for a new parliament to enact the law? So that timing tells that he doesn't have 100% of the trust in the incoming parliament, even though there is completely controlled by USDP and also the military, and in a way military. So he is enacting that law. So that law is giving a lot of powers, a broad mandate in the areas of the peace, in the areas of the securities and rules of law, in the areas of foreign relations, and even in the areas of legislative affairs. So that is really interesting. So I think Myanmar might be the one that is leading the next. They would say the civilian government. So we all know that it's not actually the civilian government. It's another military junta and a different name. So Myanmar is, I think, positioning himself to be the next leader of that government. And also, I think he is still making all his options available and wide open. So if he has enough trust in the upcoming new generation leadership in the military to be loyal to him, so I think he will move to the position of the president and at the same time holds the position of the chairmanship of the Union Consultative Council, and then oversee all these the military affairs and also leading the civilian government. So if he doesn't trust the upcoming leadership, so he will stay be the commander-in-chief and then let a puppet, someone who is loyal to him, be the president. So I think at the time, at this moment, he is leaning towards being the president.
So pro-democracy parties, including the NLD, were excluded or refused to participate in these elections. Does this not impact the credibility of the results?
Yeah, it totally impacts their credibility of the result. Not just result, I would say the whole election things is not actually the election. So I have been saying even before this election, months before this election, and also I maintain that position that this is not even an election. We wouldn't be able to say this an election. So there are a lot of things that are lacking to call it an election. So that includes the participation. So participation of the political party is very limited. The numbers of political party participated in this election is not even the fraction of the numbers of political party participated in the previous election. Even the elections that are held under the military dictatorship, so they even have better numbers of the party participation. And also another aspect of this election is that election is a time where the civilians, where the voters, the people are allowed to talk about all their options, who represent and their views on the politics. But this election was held under the situation that nobody is there to not let alone criticizing the candidate and criticizing the political party. They can't even criticize the whole process. They are not even allowed to criticize the electoral process. So that is another thing, that this election will not be regarded to be a normal election. And also another thing is that this election is not held in majority of the country. This election is sporadically held in the few part of the country, mostly in the urban areas. So this election, if you look at the maps where this election was held and then the areas the election are not held, you will see that this election is held in less than half of the territory of the country, basically disenfranchising millions and millions of voters. So we estimate around 10 million voters are already disenfranchised. And also the Junta Control Election Commission reported the moderate numbers of voter turnout. The reason they can report the moderate numbers of voter turnout is because they exclude the numbers of the voters who live in the areas where they can hold the election. Normally, that's how the election commission calculate the numbers of voter turnout. But in this election, these people, even though the elections are not held in the areas, the voters are not allowed to vote for the candidates in those areas. They elect the members of parliament representing them, even though they haven't even allowed to cast the vote. So there will be no by-election for them. So the junta is now saying that there will be by-election maybe in next year, but the fact is that they will not hold by-election in the area where they sporadically held in the election. For example, in Chin State, there are 9 townships in Chin State. They hold the election in only 2 townships. So they disenfranchise millions of voters, even in Chin State alone. So, but they elect members of parliament in the upper house, lower house, and also in the state and region parliament. But there were, even though they said the junta said there will be by-elections in the next year, so these constituencies will not be included in the by-election because they already have the members of parliament representing them without even a vote from the constituency.
So under these circumstances, what would you say to people who argue that some voting is better than not?
Yeah, I would say that there are some people who are saying that something is better than nothing. So the election would bring some kind of stability to the country. But they are not just looking at the election as a political vehicle to bring about the stability. They are also betting on the goodwill of the military dictatorship. So I would say that this military dictatorship, and then this military regime can be trusted to reduce the conflict and to reduce the violence they are using against the civilians, even after this election. I think there will even be the increase in the numbers of conflicts and also the scale of the conflict because the military dictators, and then when they move to the civilian, like some sort of like civilian form of the government, so they will claim themselves to be the civilian government, even though nobody believed that. And then they would say that they are crushing the terrorism in most part of the country, and then they will say the war that they are handling, they are tackling the terrorism in the territory. So, and also another thing is that this election is different to the 2010 in the previous different to the previous election, because in the previous 2010 elections, the junta at that time has not lost as much territory as the junta this time in 2025, 2026. So they have to win 2 things after this election. One is the political legitimacy from the outside world. Another thing is the territory that they have lost over the 5 years of time. And so they inevitably have to wage the war against the revolutionary forces. especially in the central Myanmar. So there will be increase in numbers and intensity of the conflict in central Myanmar. So I would say this election will not be a moment where we see the decline of the violence. This is a moment where the military junta will strengthen their control of the political institutions in the country, and also will wage the war against. It's the time they will increase the war against the pro-democracy pro-democracy actors. So if someone is expecting the junta to stop the violence after this election, that's why they are saying that something is better than nothing. So that they would found themselves to be fooled by the junta in the near future.
Which countries have come out to express support and congratulate the Myanmar militaries on its elections?
I don't see any sane country like accepting the election. So even the ASEAN countries, so the ones that met the foreign minister of the junta in bilateral meeting, so they did publicly say that they won't accept the result of this election, and then they don't see this election as a way forward for the country. And even China, if you look back to the response from the Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson after the third phase of the election, so he used very careful wording referring to this election. He didn't say that this election is free and fair. He instead said that this election is steady and stable. So that's very telling, I would say. So that tells that this election, everyone around the world and also inside the country knows that this election is not free and fair.
What will the next USDP administration look like? Will it be anything like it was in 2010 before the democratic transition began?
There are a lot of things that are different to 2010. There are a lot of elements that are different to 2010 and 2011 USDP administration. So at that time, the junta leader Than Shwe himself devised his own exit strategy, and then he moved out of politics, and then he put the people who he carefully chose the different position in the government. So he put Than Shwe as a leader of the government, and then he put Shwe Man and Kyaw Aye as a speaker of the houses. I think he carefully chose these persons. At the time, they are the ones who are acting like the reformists. So either Than Shwe or Shwe Man, they are acting like reformists. So they coming up as the new phases of Myanmar's transition. But this time, in 2026, Myanmar has no luxury. As Than Shwe had back in 2010, he has no luxury of moving out of politics. So he doesn't trust. So throughout this election exercise, so we have seen that he has very low trust in others. In others, I mean the military, USDP, and also others, the allies. So they are potential alliance like the political parties, the aligned political parties. So he has no trust in all of them. So that means that he has no other choice than taking the supreme leadership position. That's why he is creating the rules that are not even included in 2008 Constitution. So he has no chance to move out of politics. So he will be in the key position that control everything. So that's the key difference to the 2011 administration. So this time we will see the military dictator himself will strengthen his control over the different aspects of the administration. That's why they put in the Union Consultative Council law that they don't even care for separation of powers among legislative branches, executive branches, and the judiciary branches. That Union Consultative Council law allow a person or a group of people, maybe five-member committee, to exercise all these powers. So I think this administration will not be a kind of like reformist. They will not pretend to be the reforming the government. They will not pretend to be the reformist government, but they were clearly the ones who control and strengthen the rules of the military or the military dictator right now.
In the 2020 elections, the NLD won another landslide victory against the USDP. It was considered free and fair by the international observers, but the USDP claimed voter fraud. This was used as a pretext for the 2021 military coup. Is anyone claiming voter fraud in this military-run election?
To answer that the question, so in 2020 election, so that election was regulated by the internal local organization, local civil society, and also the international civil society organization that observed the poll to be free and fair, and also the local and international media also regarded that election to be free and fair. That's regarded widely by the international community to be free and fair. The only groups of people that are claiming that the voter frauds and that are claiming that this election was not free and fair are military and USDP. There's no surprise. Military used that as a pretext to stage the coup. But if you look at this election, so whether they address the very contest, the very issues that they said the NLD committed in the previous NLD government committed in the previous 2020 election, I would say there's nothing no issue they could address in this election as well. So they said there are a lot of voters, that there are a lot of problems in the voter list in 2020 election. So in this 2025-2026 election, the voter list issue still passes. The reason is not the political. The reason is technical. The voter list is not correct because of the intent of the ruling party. The voter list is not correct because they are like administrative practices that include that require the collection of the voter list is based on the list from the General Administration Department, based on the Immigration and Population Departments, and based on the Ward and Village Tract Administration. So all these lists are combined into the one voter list, the initial voter list, that are checked in 3 steps by the voters. The voters are allowed to correct their voter list. So that's why the voter lists are not correct over the course of the previous election. So that's the reason. That's the technical problem. So but they make it political. The military and the army made it political and then staged the coup. And then they didn't even like face that problem. And also there are problems. That's a key issue that they raised in the previous 2020 election. And now with this, their own election, voter list error still passing. The reason this time is because of the same technical problems plus their lack of commitment to communicate to the voters. Because in the previous election, the voter lists are released in more than 100 days before the election. So the voters are allowed to check and correct the voter list. In this election, so the voter lists are released in less than 3 months. So compared to the previous election, they gave less time for the voters to correct the voter list. And the people are not interested in the election as well. So that's why they don't go to the polling station, Ward and Village Tract sub-commission office and check the voter list. That's why the voter lists are not correct. Even the junta leadership, the junta leaders have to admit that there will be incorrect voter list this time as well. So, and also they have a lot of problems with implementing this election. They can't revise the election laws because they use like electoral voting system, electronic voting machine. They use a PR system. So they have to release that revised law many months before the elections. But they only released that laws in August. So when the election is held in November. So that create a lot of problems with the sub-commission level. a regional level, district level, and then even within village trail level sub-commission, they have no time to digest the law. That create more problems, which is increasingly becoming more political because they widen the net, they widen the categories of the people who are allowed to get the advance vote. So now in this election, they included the displaced person to be able to get the advance vote. So that also include like in constituency advance vote as well. So there are people like, for example, like the ones who are inpatient in the hospital are allowed to get the in constituency advance vote. So that procedure are not digested well by the members of the sub-commission, election sub-commission. So that create the problems with a lot of problems with the advance voting. So there are a lot of complaints regarding that advance vote. So we have observed some results, some suspicious results where the rival candidate who are rival to the USDP are defeated by the advance vote by a narrow margin, very narrow margin. So that kind of results are not very uncommon that are observed in a lot of constituency in Mon State, in Rangoon region as well. So that also increase the doubts that whether these in constituency advance votes are properly collected and properly counted, and also in the first two phases of the election, the representative or the candidate and also candidate themselves are not allowed to observe that in constituency advance vote. So that could be the ground for the manipulations. So I would say that this election is not short of conflict. This election is not short of the controversies. The only reason that you won't see a lot of complaints against the malpractices in this election is because the candidates and the political parties are scared of the military. They will not be allowed. Some political parties that won't sit in the parliament, they are scared that the military would retaliate if they raise that issue. And also another thing is that they are also looking to the possibility of having the cabinet, having a member in the cabinet, or even winning the vice presidency. So that's I think is a political calculation of the minority parties.
So what can Myanmar people expect from this new USDP administration in Naypyidaw?
So right now the chairperson of USDP is like acting himself and positioning himself to be reformist and the one who is addressing all the concern and issues of the citizens. And also there will be the instances that they are nominally criticizing the government or something like that. But that would be no more than a Twitter. So that would be no more than the fake accountability. So the only power will be with the military leader Myanmar in some form and way or another. So I don't think it will be a lot different. Looking back to the previous government, looking back to the 2010-2011 administration, they will introduce some sort of 100 days of the government, first 100 days of the government quick win policies. In the early days of the administration, I think they will implement some kind of populist schemes, populist policy, and also some kind of fake openings and things like that. We have to expect that because right now the moment is a time for Myanmar budget fiscal calendar to introduce the supplementary budget. So the Junta government right now will be rushing on enacting the supplementary government budget that will fund the 100 days quick win policy that will be the populist agendas, populist policy to be implemented to show that this government is different to the military dictatorship. But at the core of it, the one who control everything, the one who control all the institutions of the government will be Myanmar.
So the military now controls the 25% of seats in parliament, and USDP is 72% of seats. So this means they will be able to appoint a president. Who do you think will they select?
So the way they elect the president and vice president is that we have bicameral parliament. We have lower house, which is called Pyidaw Ladaw. We have upper house, which is called Myanmar Ladaw. So if you combine that, we call combined house, which is the Pyidaw Ladaw. So the way they elect the vice president candidate is that all the elected MPs of the lower house elect one vice president candidate. All the elected MPs in the upper house will elect vice president candidate, and all the military appointees themselves, we have 224 military appointees, so they will appoint a vice president candidate. So we will have three vice president candidates from the elected MPs of the lower house, elected MPs of the upper house, and then elected military appointees of both houses. So that three candidates will go to the combined house, and then combined house, all elected and non-elected military appointees will decide who will be the president and who will be the vice president. So given the vote results, so the ones who get the most vote will be the president, and then second most vote will be the vice president one, and then the least numbers of vote will be the vice president too. So that's the technically how they will elect the president. So military has a chance to nominate one vice president, and then USDP, if they want, USDP has a chance to elect two vice presidents, and then if USDP and military combine, they can decide who will be the president and then who will be the vice president. And then given the share of vote, USDP can appoint the president and vice president themselves. But as I mentioned before, so USDP is not answerable to their membership. USDP is actually answerable to the military data. So USDP, I think if the military MPs put forward the name of Myanmar Line to be the vice president, and then Myanmar Line tells USDP that he wants to be the president, so USDP has no leverage or no, I think USDP will automatically accept that nomination to be the president. So that's how they would do. That's why we've been hearing that there are some kind of discussion between the USDP and the military in Naypyidaw to talk about the formation of the government. So that's the conversation we're discussing that. So I think if they given the previous election, so given the fact that there is a tradition that there will be one ethnic vice president, and one possibility is either USDP proposed one of the members, one of their own USDP member, ethnic member, to be the vice president, or give negotiate with one ethnic party to allow them to propose the ethnic vice president. So that would depend a lot on the negotiation between USDP and the military.
So before we wrap up, is there anything else you would like to add about the new leadership resulting from the military elections in Myanmar?
So this election, after this, the sham election, the election practice or election exercise. So we call it differently. Some call it sham election, some call it electoral exercise. So this one is not actually election. So they fail all the tests of being a free and fair election, and also being even an election. So I wouldn't even call this an election. So the result after the election, some say that you don't look at how the election is held, you look at the government that is formed, and then you look at the political openings that this government will bring in. But if you are thinking of that this new government will bring about less conflict, this new government will bring about the political openings and political openings and transition to the country, you will find yourself to be fooled by the rhetoric of Myanmar. So Myanmar will continue to be the one who is pulling all the strings. So he has no willingness and also he has no luxury not to do that. So I think in the aftermath of this election, beyond this election, the country will not be more peaceful because of this election, but instead the country will be even more intense crisis because of this election. So that's my conclusion.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.